Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing extremely well. So today's video is this highly requested cut crease with some glitter liner. I've kept this tutorial quite detailed, so let's jump into it and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing we are doing is taking MAC's Paint Pot in the shade Painterly and applying this all over our eye as a base. And you want to make sure that this is blended in perfectly. And then we are taking the Tartelette palette and taking the first shade in that palette and just applying that on top of the paint pot to set that in place. From that same palette, we're taking the darkest brown shade and an angle brush, and we are going to begin drawing out our cut crease. So I do this starting from the top of my crease, or kind of inside the socket, and begin drawing out from the middle and flicking it out as you would when you're doing a winged liner. I do this with eyeshadow first instead of eyeliner because if you do mess up, it is a lot easier to remove the eyeshadow. So you want to take your time carving this out because you want to get it perfect. And I just continuously dip into the eyeshadow and drawing over it just till I get it right. And then I am taking a pencil brush and just blending out that line. So you want to not blend it out too much, but just a little bit so it's looking a little bit softer. And then I'm going back in with my angled brush and going over that again and blending over. This is all very repetitive, so I'll always add a little bit and then blend and then add a little bit more and then blend again. Next, I've switched to a much smaller pencil brush and grabbed a little bit more of that dark brown eyeshadow and applied it right into the socket of that line and blending it outwards. As I mentioned, this is all very repetitive. I'll switch between these three brushes and the eyeshadow and apply more and then blend out. Now I'm going back into my angled brush and I'm taking the black eyeshadow from that Tartelette palette and using this to also carve out that line again, just to give it a little bit more depth. I'm taking my time doing this, so making sure that I'm not rushing it and just going nice and slow so I don't mess it up. And then I am just taking that small pencil brush again and I'm blending out that dark line. We still want this to be defined, but we also kind of want it to be blended out, if that makes sense. Next, I'm taking Makeup Geek's Frappe eyeshadow, I believe, and then using a small fluffy brush to blend out the top of that. It will start to look a little bit funny at first, but it will all blend in together in the end. Going back in with that small pencil brush, I am blending out the line again, and yeah, I will just continue to do that until I get the cut crease perfect. I also added a little bit more of that dark brown eyeshadow just to not make the black look too harsh, if you get what I mean, and then also blending it out with some more Frappe and then using the bigger pencil brush to blend that all together. I've then taken a little bit of Jaclyn Hill's Champagne Pop Highlighter and applied that to my brow bone as a brow bone highlight. And then, because I felt it was like a little bit too harsh, I just grabbed that first eyeshadow I used to set the paint pot and just used that to blend out the brow bone highlight with the rest of the eyeshadow. Because we don't want that really stark kind of highlight look, if you get what I mean. Moving on to the lid, I've taken the Painterly paint pot again and a really stiff flat shader brush, and I'm using this to kind of clean up the lid underneath the line to make that line look really, really sharp, because that's how we want our cut crease to look. We want it to be really sharp, and yeah. So I'm just using that against the line and making sure there is no eyeshadow kind of falling down or drooping down, and then using that shade from the creamy shade from the Tartelette palette to set that all in place. Moving on to liner, I'm taking my Stila Stay All Day liquid eyeliner in black and drawing at a wing. I am starting from the middle of my eye, working my way outwards, and you kind of want the wing of this to sort of align with the cut crease. So you want it to have this kind of like the same curve and kind of to go out in the same way. So I am drawing that line outwards and filling in the gappy areas, and yeah. I'm continuously stopping and going in and out, taking a step back, having a look at it, and yeah, I'm cleaning up the bottom of that wing with a bit of that paint pot. I felt like the eyeliner was a little bit too shiny, so I took that black eyeshadow and just mattified it with my angle brush. Moving on to the fun part, I'm taking this Urban Decay Heavy Metal Glitter Liner and I'm applying this right above our winged liner. So I'm basically creating a winged liner on top of our winged liner. So I'm taking this slowly and just applying it over the wing that we just created, making sure not to cover too much of that black. But if you do, that's okay. You can just take your liner again and just fill in the parts that you may have covered. Looking back at the original photo, I realized that the cut crease had a little bit of a purpley red tint to it. So I'm taking the Balm's Meet Matrimony palette and I am just mixing those two ready purple shades and applying that into the crease kind of in the middle of it. So above like the darkness but below the light. And I'm using the thin fluffy brush for this and blending that out, making sure that it is all blended together seamlessly. Moving on to the face, I'm taking my Too Faced Born This Way foundation and mixing in some of the Cover FX highlighter drops. And I am applying that to my face with a synthetic brush by Sigma. And when I've applied that all to my face, I'm going to take a damp beauty blender and press that into my skin. Because I have dry skin, I find that this method really works for me. I find when I just use a brush, it kind of looks streaky, but when I use a damp beauty blender, it blends it in perfectly and it also hydrates my face while doing so. For my under eyes, I'm taking my BECCA Corrector in Peach and applying this underneath my eyes to counteract my dark circles because, you know, they'd be looking pretty bad these days. So I'm blending that out with a damp beauty blender. And for concealer, I'm going to take my Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer and I'm going to apply that quite generously underneath my eyes and also my forehead, bridge of my nose, below the hollows of my cheekbones to cut my contour, and also my chin, if I haven't said that already. If my voice sounds weird this entire video, I do apologize, but I do have my Invisalign in, so I feel like I've been lisping and messing up my words a lot, but, you know, that's okay. So I'm taking my damp beauty see what I mean? I'm taking my damp beauty blender and making sure that I press that into my skin and it is well blended because, you know, you don't want that really dramatic, light, dark foundation kind of looking thin, so it doesn't look good. So you want to make sure that it is well blended and you want to make sure that you're pressing it into your skin because I find that when you press it into your skin, it lasts a lot longer and it looks a lot more natural. But then again, what part of this is actually natural? Moving on. Moving on to my favorite part, which is baking your makeup. I'm taking my Laura Mercier translucent powder, of course, and applying this quite generously underneath my eyes and below my contour to really set that part where I cut my contour, and also taking the remainder and applying this to my forehead and the bridge of my nose. I'm going back to my eyes and I'm taking this Zoeva eye kohl and applying this into my waterline and also smudging that into my lower lash line. And you want to apply this not too much but not too little, if that makes sense. So I want to apply it so it's there and I am able to blend it out. So I'm going to take the eyeshadows that I used in my crease. I'm first starting off with the black and applying that over the eyeliner that we just applied. And then I'm taking my small pencil brush and the dark brown eyeshadow and using that to smudge out the black and really blend that out. And I'm also taking a Frappe by Makeup Geek and using that to blend out the darker colors. So you kind of want it to be a gradient. So the darkest to be in your lash line and then as it comes out, you want it to kind of get lighter. Blending this all out is a bit of work, but trust me, keep going and you will get there. Moving on to lips, I'm first taking MAC Vino lip liner and using this to line and fill in my lips. You want to fill in your whole lip with this. And I'm also taking a Gerard Cosmetics Hydra Matte liquid lipstick, and I'm not sure of the color, but I will leave it down below, and I'm just applying this on top of that quite generously as well. I love pairing a dramatic lip with a dramatic eye. Probably not for going out, but you know, just for creative purposes. And then you just want to take a flat shader brush and a bit of concealer and clean up the edges of those lips. Next, I'm just taking a stiff Zoeva synthetic brush and using that to buff off all the powder that we had from our baking, and make sure that we're really buffing this in and making sure that it's not leaving any harsh lines. For bronzer, I'm taking the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer, I'm pretty sure it's called, and a Ray Morris brush, and blending this into the hollows of my cheekbones and around my forehead. I'm actually not applying this to my jawline this time, I just didn't really feel like it, to be honest. So I just applied it to the hollows of my cheekbones and around my forehead. I'm also taking a MAC oval brush, and I believe it's the Oval 6, and using this to contour my nose with that same bronzer. I know I keep moving this palette in front of my face and it's really annoying, so I do apologize. But I'm also taking a fluffy Ray Morris brush as well and blending that nose contour in really well. For blush, I took the Jaclyn and BECCA palette and I applied, I believe this is Pamplemousse, I'm not too sure, but I'll leave it down below along with everything else. And I apply this to the apples of my cheeks. I may have applied a little bit too much, so to fix that, I just took my damp beauty blender and just went over it a little bit. For my highlight, I mixed both Champagne Pop and Prosecco Pop, and I applied these to the tops of my cheekbones, above my brow bone, so not my brow bone, above my temples, and kind of in the center of my forehead, just to give my face that glow, because I find that when you apply it to your forehead and the light hits it just right, it looks amazing. And I also applied that to the tip of my nose, applied some lashes and a little bit of mascara to my bottom lashes, and we are done. So this is the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and learned something new today. I absolutely love filming looks like this. I love the more dramatic looks. If you guys do enjoy them, please let me know down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.